Hello, everyone, and welcome to Convention Horror Stories. My name is Alkali, and I bring you here with tales of woe, sadness, depression, and triumph. And sadness, and fire poles, and fire alarms, and more fires, then another fire alarm. Then it wasn't our fault, but then another fire alarm.
So much
I want to
fire.
introduce you to my co-host, ladies and gentlemen, both and neither. Give it up for Boozy Barrister. Boozy, are you there?
I am here. Are you there?
I am quite here. Since the last show, I have poured myself a cup of wine, finished a cup of wine, poured myself a cup of wine. This is going to continue going.
I've poured myself water.
Well, aren't you a wonderful, prepared individual?
Hydration is important, and it's definitely not vodka.
Well, we're going to get into how important hydration is and how important vodka is before we announce our other guests. Ladies and gentlemen, both and neither, give it up for Giza. Giza, are you there?
I am here one way or another. I am here.
And what are you drinking, my friend?
I am actually drinking Wawa coffee out of this cheetah mug. This cracked out cheetah, which kind of reflects my mood right now. It is actual coffee. The alcohol will come later.
Well, thank you so much. Back over to Boozy's cam. I think I heard her, but I don't actually have my feet up right now. Do we have a QM there?
We have a QM in and out of the room, but not able to hear you because we have one set of microphones, and I'm too goddamn cheap to buy a splitter.
That's a valid point.
Look,
Oh boy.
you don't go to as many furry conventions as I go to and still afford the basic necessities of living.
That's I wouldn't actually call microphones part of the bare necessities of a living.
Well, you don't stream as much as I do.
Okay, that's a valid point. And finally, I think we have him on the chat. Ladies and gentlemen, both and neither, give it up for Lord Pandez.
I'm not here.
All right. It looks like we made it. Today's stream is for a wonderful charity. We're going to be going into that more in a moment. But before we start, we're going to talk about one of the reasons we're all here. Not just the charity, but the stories charity causes. We are starting this one out with pennies. I was at a con recently. We were doing charity for a wonderful cause. What?
It was like 2 years ago.
Okay, when you black out as much as I do, it all just kind of melds together into one solid existence. I'm a solid state drive, okay?
Is your memory just like a series of moments of lucidity throughout your life? Like you were 5 and then there's a blackout and you were 20?
Dude, they named a book series after me, A Series of Unfortunate Events.
Continue.
Well, at this auction, I received a new top hat, a wonderful new top hat. And this top hat was a heavy top hat, a very heavy top hat. For the top hat was filled to the brim, all the way to the top with pennies. Oh, what a glorious day it was, realizing that I had to count and deposit all these pennies. But it's okay. The joke was fine, for I bank with TCF sometimes, and they have a change counter. I was wrong. I showed up to the bank carrying charity money for an entire convention, probably close to $10,000 in cash. Along with that, I also had a top hat filled with pennies. I would like to take this moment to describe to you the wonderful people who gave me these top hat full of pennies. So caring, so loving, so nurturing. They are so wonderful in the community that to show their love for you guys, they hide eggs all over the convention so that we can be surprised with the gifts inside. Well, Yave and crew also left me a gift inside this top hat because as I was pouring it into the change counter at TCF Bank, I heard a kerthunk. See, only the top half of the hat was filled with loose pennies. Under those pennies, were rolls of pennies, which are now falling out of the hat and damaging the machine used to count said pennies. The tellers are all looking at me with a very confused look, as I am now angrily slamming these penny containers into the machine to get them to spill in. I have jammed the machine 3 times at this point, and they are now laughing and helping me with the machine because I have jammed it with paper. But it is finally done. All these people watching me, thinking I was depositing, by the way, over $100 worth of pennies, a ridiculous amount. And then I went to the teller and handed them the $10,000 in cash, and they were confused. So, Yave and crew, thank you so much for everything you do. I'm going to send you over to Boozy to tell you a story about nickels.
Before that, because I should fill up something and finally confess to something. Yave and Velocity are the whole crew. They're just so happy to go along with my plans to fuck with you, and I love them so much for that. Because that top hat of pennies didn't come out of nowhere. That top hat of pennies came out of me at first squared when somebody brought you a box of money. I'm like, is this how it works? You guys just give Alkali charity money and strange things? And Yave said, yeah. And I said, I'd like to see a top hat of pennies. And then the next year there was a top hat of pennies.
This is your fault.
And then when they brought the top hat of pennies up, afterwards I went up to them after the panel. I said, that's great. Now I really want to see a cowboy boot full of nickels.
Oh, no.
Do you? Do you? So what happened, my good friend and compatriot?
There we are on stage for Monkey Knife Fights. When Yave comes up to the stage, and in her hands was a cowboy boot filled to the brim with nickels. And I handed it over to Alkali, and I then said I would like to see a Stetson hat full of quarters. You see, my plan here is I'm building a Western wardrobe, one donation at a time from them.
You
like
know
a
the worst part about
tie made
the
of $100 bills.
Was?
What?
Oh, God.
I already know what the worst part was because you messaged me about the worst part.
Oh, you know about my foot injury. Oh, good. So I left the boot in my bedroom filled with nickels and accidentally kicked it one morning. That hurt like the dickens.
And Alkali, let me ask, were the nickels wrapped too?
Wow, it's been so long. I want to say that only some of the nickels in the toe were wrapped. Was that time?
I think so.
Did you, Alkali, did you black out while counting the nickels? Is that what happened?
Really?
Actually,
we're going to go over these? Go ahead.
Any sentence that starts, Alkali, did you block out? The answer is yes.
Well, I just like the fact, like, were the ones in the toe wrapped? Was that time? How many times have people given you a cowboy boot full of nickels?
Do you want the real answer to that?
Yes. Tell us.
Let's see. All right. The weird ways that we have been giving money. There is the top hat full of pennies, one of my all-time favorite. Cowboy boot full of nickels. And yes, Yave jumped in. They were all rolled. Thank you for that one. There was the small envelopes filled with 69 cents apiece. There were exactly 69 of those envelopes, and I later found out that they were collected by 69 different people who were all trying to find each other. Thank you very much, Martini, Soft, and Avon, for that one, you sociopaths. But still, to this day, the worst one that has ever been done to me is BLFC, giving my message out that, hey, we're at a casino, you're going to go onto a slot machine and it's going to give you 0.67 cents back. All of those should go to the con. I had to stand in front of one of those counting machines for an hour, feeding through hundreds of pieces of paper, most of them worth no more than 5 cents. That one will always be the worst.
And why?
I'm sure security had fun watching your footage. Security had fun watching your footage. They're going, look
Security
at this
did not
guy.
leave me all weekend.
And why was Xander not there recording you angrily feeding these into the machine?
Yeah, it was BLFC. He was also drunk. Oh, Alejandro, correct. I forgot. Yes.
Why was Xander not recording? I don't care if he was drunk. Why is there not video?
Because we don't let Xander hold the camera when he's tipsy.
That's horseshit. I've been to that.
I've seen your OnlyFans. You're lying.
Ah! Hey, that's on a tripod, which incidentally is Xander's name in those videos. All right, going on.
I actually have a convention horror story that involves you, Alkali, at one of the first conventions I went to.
Oh, good. Then we can skip that one and go over to... Damn. All right, what?
The year was 2017. The place, Midwest Fur Fest. Alkali and I were on stage, and it was really my first experience watching the Alkali charity top hat travel throughout the room, and I'm watching people just put like thousands of dollars in a top hat. And I'm sitting there, and I'm thinking, how does this work? Like, is it the honor system? Because, like, in church, they pass the collection plate, but there they think God's watching. Who do they think's watching here? Do they think, like, furry God is standing above them? Anyways, it comes back, and we're sitting there, and the money's being counted, and we finish up, and I think I was going to go grab a drink with somebody and then meet back up with you later. So I went to Con Ops to have a drink, and somebody walks into Con Ops and looks at me and says, "Oh, Boozy, has Alkali found you yet?" And I said, "Well, I just got off stage with him like 10 minutes ago." They said, no, he was looking for you afterwards. He looked really upset. And I go, okay. Now, you gotta understand, Alkali and I had met like 6 months before, and we immediately were like, "Hello, new friend," and exchanged phone numbers and telegram, because it was like immediate. So I'm sitting in message, I go, "What's up?" And here's what I hear. He goes, "Where are you?" "I'm in Con Ops. Stay there." Here he comes walking into Con Ops. He's supposed to be on stage for Who's Line. And he looks at me and he says, "Do you have the charity money from the panel?" I say, "No." He goes, "Fuck," and turns around and walks out of the room. I would later find out that what had happened was the con had collected the charity money. He's used to carrying it to the charity himself. The con had collected the charity money, had not told him they collected the charity money. So the charity money had got missing, and the first person he thought of was the lawyer sitting in Con Ops, because that was my master plan, folks. I went through 9 years of schooling, passed professional exams, endeared myself to the furry fandom, started doing comedy, became this jackass's friend, all so I could steal like $1,000 worth of charity money in Chicago. Look out, Mexico!
I will have you know. At no point did I assume that you had stolen the charity money. All I know is that me and my crew have a very precise set of things that happens when we get it. And in the middle of it, it just went away. So like, oh, our good friend Boozy was here. He probably took it over to operations. I need to know right now before I panic.
The funny thing is it taught me a valuable lesson. You know what I say to people at the end of panels when they're like, "Oh, you can just take the money to the charity table in the morning"? No.
Nope.
Last time somebody did that, I got accused of a felony.
But not convicted.
Look at the top hat.
Oh my God. Well, now that we've lost charity money,
I mean,
never accuse the Monopoly man. He already has enough money. Why would he need charity money? So since we're talking about losing charity money, I'm going to throw it over to Giza and talk about losing something else. Giza, have you ever lost something at a con? Maybe something important?
Can we describe the something? Are we talking something big or something small?
Something pretty big. Something pretty big with walls and doors.
Something hotel sized, maybe like the hotel.
Yeah, the hotel
The time we
size.
lost our hotel.
That would be it.
So back in 2000, the early 2000s through 2004, Anthrocon was based out of Philadelphia. It was based at a hotel called the Adams Mark, right on the edge of the city of Philadelphia. And Anthrocon 2004 came and went, huge success. I think we set records for attendance at the time. And we're getting into about early December 2004, kind of about this time of year. And at about 11 o'clock one night, Uncle Kage gets a phone call from some random person, and they're like, "Hey, man, I hear the Adams Mark is closing." And Kage's like, "I don't know what the hell you're talking about. We have a contract." Clang! Next morning, he calls up the hotel at 8 a.m. and speaks to our convention services liaison and says, "Hey, Tom, do you know anything about the hotel closing? Because it was known that the hotel had been for sale for a while, and hotels get bought and sold all the time, and they change names, and business continues as usual. Except our convention services person said, 'Yep, the hotel's been bought by Target. It's going to be demolished. We're all out of jobs in 60 days. And Kage said, "But I have a contract." The Adams Mark said back to us, "Yeah, well, we got this facility in Texas where you can host your conference at." And we said, "That's not going to cut it." So cue panic on the board's end. And it was like, you ever have like a heart attack that just goes on for about 3 days straight? That was kind of how we felt, because we were now a convention without a hotel. We had no place to host, and the convention was 7 months away. And we usually do these contracts 2 or 3 years in advance. So we're calling like every hotel, like up and down the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast, trying to find a venue. We finally find it was a Wyndham in Center City, Philadelphia. And a week after the Adams Mark said they were going closed, we signed the contract at like midnight at the hotel. It was midnight on a work night. We signed this contract, and we took to LiveJournal because Twitter didn't exist back then. And we're like, "We have a hotel!" And we could relax for a little. But I'll tell you, that Wyndham was okay. It wasn't great. And doing stuff in the city of Philadelphia is freaking expensive. And that was why we moved to Pittsburgh in 2006. And we've never looked back. Pittsburgh is an amazing host city. So much cooler than Philadelphia. And I live in Philadelphia, so I know that city quite well. Pittsburgh is an amazing
I'm sure
host
you
city.
do.
Giza the Philly traitor over here.
I'm just telling Philly like it
Trade
is.
your John for yins on the internet.
I mean, I got a Pittsburgh brick in my apartment here. Should I go get the Pittsburgh brick? Do you guys want to see the Pittsburgh brick?
Why do you have a pit? Go get the Pittsburgh brick. What?
Why do you not? Doesn't every furry have a brick from Pittsburgh?
So actually, for a while, we had a big old rock that came from Xander's condo. It would sit outside the door, and that's because Xander's condo rocked.
We have, in Pittsburgh, they sell these. And that's proper Pittsburghese. And if you're not from Pittsburgh and it doesn't make any sense, Pittsburghians have their own language.
Now, the tech crew has asked me to remind everybody, has actually asked all of us to remind everybody, that the first $500 that is donated tonight, and the donation tonight is for Velocity Sloth, Yave, their family, the wonderful Nickel and Boot people. Very recently, they were diagnosed with COVID. Their entire family was. Sadly, 2 days ago, Don, the patriarch of their family, passed as a result of it. They're going to have some very tough times ahead of them. It was sudden. It was unexpected. So we have started this fundraiser, and while we match the initial goal, it's not like we should stop there. It's not going to get easier, unfortunately. I wish it really would. And Quack Quack Honk has stated that they will be matching the first $500 donated today. An anonymous person just donated $1,000.
That is amazing. Thank you so much, whoever you are.
Thank you so much, guys. Oh my God.
Oh my goodness.
That's phenomenal.
I'm speechless.
Folks,
Again, I will remind everyone that. Go ahead, Boozy. Go ahead.
Yeah, Dixie Line has set up the GoFundMe that is being used for this yesterday. It went live at 8 a.m. on my birthday, and I was able to say, all I want for my birthday is for you all to help these people out. In 5.5 hours, the furry fandom, with assistance from Law Twitter, because we got it spread to Law Twitter, comic book Twitter, because it went over to comic book Twitter, Brony Twitter, because it went over to the furry fandom in 5 hours with the assistance of other groups out there that we're all interrelated with, because every reach out came from somebody in our fandom, raised $16,000. And we said, that's not enough. We're going to keep going today. So thank you. Whoever you are, thank you. And that string totals off because of if the first 500 is matched, we've raised $1,795 today so far.
All I know is going into this, and I just want to give somebody who probably no one will have the pleasure of meeting, my coworker Tom. Me and him are partners at work, and Thursday, when I found out about this, he immediately told me to leave work and go take care of this, and myself and mainly the Basement Con crew. A huge shout out to QM and Benny and Dragor and Skylar and Boozy, all of which who made this. This is incredible that we got this going in 2 days. But I still want to give that shout out to Tom, who has been watching the furry fandom over my shoulder since I've had that job, and who I know for a fact this weekend has not only donated, but been coming in and out of this. He knows how much you guys care about each other, and he has seen that from an outside vantage point, and just that alone has always warmed my heart. So thank you, everyone, for being the people you are and giving us this community, because the community is us. Never forget that. It's just a conglomerate of all very, very good people.
That said, Alkali, do you have any good stories about unicorns?
We will get to that. However, we haven't heard from one person on this chat. Thank you for the very nice lead-in. Thank you so much for the lead-in. That was very good. But we are going to turn it over to Des. Now, Des, we had a few people who asked for specific stories. You saw them in the chat. I know you're watching. Did those give you an idea? Did you remember one of yours? Because if you didn't, I'm going to ask for one.
Actually, real quick, one thing, because something just came up, and I actually know who this is.
Yeah.
Who did it?
Yeah.
There is somebody out there who says they will donate $1 for every person who donates, and that 419 donors have hit so far.
That is wonderful. Thank you so much.
Next one's 420.
And Pandez, did you pick a story?
Yes, I have a good story, and I just want to say apologies. My camera just didn't want to cooperate with me today, and it's very ironic that this picture is being used. Nobody expects the Pandez Inquisition, because if anybody was at MCFC opening ceremonies the year I wore that costume, they know that coming onto the stage, the costume got caught up with the drapes, and I face planted on stage 1 minute into the event, setting the tone for the entire year. But I digress.
Save me some of the
I
time.
believe
Save me some of the
I
time.
believe there is the water incident that people
Yes, there
have mentioned.
was.
There's various things of water at different events. For example, at Motor City FurCon, we had a fountain in the lobby, and we had to tell people, please don't drink from the fountain in the lobby. Don't ask why that rule came into effect, but it ended up happening. But we had an unexpected water feature at IFC one year. This was back at the old hotel before our current one. It was back at the Sheraton, the one attached to the mall. It was a very business-like hotel. They had really good space for us and everything, but it was, they were very, oh, look, it's our business hotel. And we had a wonderful liaison there, Tanya. And she came up to us one day as we were coming down the stairs. I believe it was I don't know if it was the Friday or the Saturday morning. I think it was the Saturday morning of the event. And she was like, oh, did you enjoy the water feature in your con ops room? And we're like, did you put some water in the con ops room? Because I know we were asking for like some water and some cups in there just so our ops people can have something to drink. She's like, no, your water feature. I'm like, huh? I'm not sure what you mean. She's like, follow me. So we went over to the ops room, and as I enter the room, there is noticeably a large hole in the ceiling and a garbage can directly under it. There are blowers set around the room drying the carpet, and I am confused. And I said, huh? She said, well, apparently a member that was staying at the hotel this weekend drew themselves a bath last night and then proceeded to lie down while the bath was still filling. And they fell asleep. And the bathtub kept filling. And filling. And filling. Several hours later, the water had pooled into the room to such an extent that it was now starting to leak into the room below. And I was like, oh, so the people above us did that, did they? And they were like, no. Was it the people above them? No.
No.
The people above them? Not quite. The people above them? That's the ticket. The water had pooled and flooded the room below, which then flooded the room below, which then flooded the room below, which then flooded the con-ops room. And of course, this led me to the all-important question. Was it one of our attendees that did this? And she looked at me, and she stalled, and she stalled, and she put her hand on my shoulder and went, not one of yours. Yes! 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 Thank God.
Always the best thing you will ever hear at a con. Nope, not one of yours.
So that was the unexpected waterfall in the con-ops room.
Oh, unexpected waterfall.
Unexpected things happen at conventions.
Ooh,
Very unexpected
had-
things happen at conventions.
We've had an
Sometimes
unexpected thing happen right now. Someone just anonymously donated another $500.
All right. That's what I like to hear. He cries. I get excited.
I just go quiet. I don't know what to say.
We have the perfect relationship.
Now, he cry. I'll cry at the end. Like I don't cry on camera or on panels. I cry when I get out. Like, he's walked backstage and caught me crying off stage. He cries on stage. He cries. I get excited. I'm like, yes, that motherfucker's not eating for a month.
That's horrifying. It's Boozy. That's like nuclear shot in Florida. Oh my god.
That's for a good cause.
Let me give you guys a story that people don't normally get to see from their vantage point. It was one of my favorite memories from the furry fandom. Actually, we're going to go all the way back to BLFC again, because it was my first year of doing BLFC, and Tycho and crew, again, thank you so much for the invite out there. But knowing what I do and how I do it, they were kind enough to offer me the unbelievable honor of joining them on stage for closing ceremonies. So I'm in the room before closing ceremonies. I'm standing there talking with a few friends when a very short gentleman and his 3 helpers come up to me, seeing that I had been on their secondary stage all weekend panning for the charity. They were the charity, and they were blown away. Again, a lot of these charities, when we first bring them in, when you first bring a charity in to this wonderful, weird world, they don't know. They can't know. You cannot know furry until you experience a closing ceremonies charity event. And the 4 of them are just smitten with everything that's been going on, singing the praises of the fandom, how generous everybody is, how wonderful. And all I could think of is, they don't know. Oh, they don't know. So finally, closing ceremonies happens. Tycho brings me a fishbowl filled with, if I remember correctly, tequila and orange juice that has been supplied by the casino, because they know who would drink that. So I finish that, and we use it to start collecting closing ceremonies charity money. Money that the charity thought was done. The number's over. We've already announced it, but BLFC, the furry fandom, everyone like that, it's never over until you have to get in your car and go home. And even then, as our charity streams, as all of these things that we're doing over COVID have proven, it doesn't even stop then. I looked down into the audience as people at BLFC were literally folding money into paper airplanes and throwing it at Tycho, going absolutely crazy. And I looked down at them, and their leader, a very short man who had given me a hug earlier, looks up at me, tears streaming down his face, and without a care in the world just goes. And that was one of my favorite furry moments. So thank you all for being amazing people that could make something like that happen.
We are at $2,406 over the life of Crawl Space Con charity today. Just to update that. Alkali's going to cry. Look at him. Look at him.
No, shut up.
Cry, Alkali. Do it.
You all make con chairs cry. I guess he keeps telling me I qualify now. But
you do.
You all make contract chairs cry constantly with your generosity. You really do. And then sometimes you make them cry because a week after the convention, they have to call a lawyer to come out and renegotiate the contract with the hotel because of shit you did. Alkali, how was First Square back in 2018?
It was an amazing convention, the best convention. So many good things happened at that convention.
How was First Square in 2018 plus 1 week?
Not that great, to be honest with you.
I left First Square in 2018. I got home. I'm sitting down, and I get a message from Alkali. It's like, dude, do you have a minute to read something? I go, yeah, sure. He goes, before you do, I need you to agree to help us with it. I said, well, I'd like to know what it is. First, he's like, no, I can't do that. You need to tell me that you're going to help me before you see what I'm sending you to help me with. No. So, of course, I say yes, and he sends me the hotel security log for the convention. And I read it, and there are a number of wonderful, wonderful incidents in it. Like the time that they walked up to a room and they got a report that the gentleman in the room had the door open and was naked on the bed with 10 guys wearing strap-ons running a train on him. Or the report of the two gentlemen in the lobby on Saturday night who were sitting in a chair as performing an act upon themselves. As a crowd gathered around them yelling, "Eat the meat." And they were chanting it. I'm sorry, I said yelling. They weren't. It wasn't "eat the meat." It was "eat the meat." Eat the meat. Eat the. You're like the furry cock gobbling union was there. It was a picket line. Anyways, I read through all that. Can you please go somewhere else for this story, child?
Please get the kid out. This is so awkward, Boozy.
It really is. But what can I say? He's grown up now in furry conventions listening to his dad tell these stories. So I read it and I go, so what's the deal? Alkali sends back a message that goes, the hotel wants to meet with us next week. Can you fly out here? I fly out. I say, yep, sure, I'll show up. I'll help you with the contract discussions. There's already a few things here. He sends me the Dorsai log. I look at it and say, well, the Dorsai log doesn't have anything like this in it. I fly out. He picks me up at the airport. We discuss all of this on the way there. The next morning, we get in the car. He picks up Dragor, your current first squared con chair, and John the Viking, there, Beardo the Magnificent. And we're all headed back up to the con hotel for this meeting. And in the car, I said, the first way we attack this is that there's no direct evidence. None of these reports say anyone from the hotel actually saw these things happen. And the second is we attack it based on how absurd it is. I mean, like this first one. You know, why would 10 guys in a room running a train on someone need strap-ons? So Dragor, very quietly in the back of the car, says, well, you know, Boozy, bad dragon wearables are a thing. And I say, okay, maybe you shut the fuck up during the meeting.
You have
So
no
we go
idea
to the
how much that killed. I almost crashed the car when you said that. That was horrible.
So we get to the hotel. We're going to the meeting. And they're sitting there. They have a binder about this big of pictures and incident reports also. And they're going through, and I'll let them go through a little bit. We're on one side of the table. They're on the other side of the table. They're going through. They're going, well, here's this room. Here's that room. Here's this room. And I said, okay, do you have the names of anybody who was renting those rooms? No. Okay. So we're not going to consider that. You can't prove they were linked to us. You had another group in the hotel that weekend. And they say, well, these other things. I said, yeah, do you have any direct reports from your staff or just guests from other events coming up to you? They said, well, it's all reports from other events. I said, okay, we're not going to listen to any of that anyways. It's hearsay. It wouldn't be admissible to prove a breach. We're not going to listen to it. Now, let's talk about the lacrosse team situation.
You have never seen a more defeated man in your life than watching their general manager, the night manager, all the people that they brought in look over as Boozy starts in on his diatribe and they slowly close their 400-page binder and slide it off the table.
One of my favorite parts was when I said, and by the way, these are ridiculous. I said, this first one, 10 guys in a hotel room who for some reason need strap-ons, and then I just turned and did this to Dragor.
He did.
Who stayed quiet, I'll give him credit. And then I said, this one about eating the meat. I said, you're saying Saturday night, a group of people gathered in your lobby to watch two people perform fellatio on each other, chanting, eat the meat. And nobody on your staff noticed it? And the food and beverage manager said, well, wait a second. One of my bartenders said they saw it happen. And I said, so one of your staff noticed it and didn't report it? That doesn't sound like an us problem to me. That sounds like an employee problem for you.
I love that for my entire professional career, I've been negotiating contracts. I have been sitting at a table like that so many times in my professional career. And when I go in, we actually have a rule. The person sitting next to me knows if I kick their foot under the table, if I tap their foot, all they need to do is pick up their notepad, make sure no one can see it, and write something in it. Just as a little emphasis. We're paying attention. You saw us. I go into these meetings like a stealth ninja. Boozy went in with a bazooka, and he won.
Boozy,
yeah,
you're probably responsible for people retiring. People probably retired.
No lie, no joke. Nobody else was on staff when I went back next year except the one guy who agreed to renegotiate the contract with us. I saved the con money.
You did. We ended up with a better contract because he went in there and went, you know this is all false. We know this is all false. And you made us come here in person for no reason. We want free internet. And it worked.
Afterward, we went to Fogo de Chao. Alkali took us all to Fogo de Chao, which is the meat faucet. It's a Brazilian steakhouse. They just bring the meat to your table. They slice it off as much as you want. And we're sitting there, our plates stacked high with meat. And we look down, and we all look at each other. And then we all started chanting, eat the meat. Eat the meat.
The meat. Except for Dragor. Dragor just shook his head and mumbled dead animal.
And ate the polenta. He ate all the polenta.
He loved the polenta.
Why did you not get him beets? Because then he could have shouted, eat the beets. Eat the beets.
You know why, Pandez? Because we were so happy to get a better contract. It was like we finally slept for the first time that month.
Isn't it great when you're ramping up to a con and you have like the pre-con stress dreams? Like I've had dreams like where I forgot to like write the operation schedule for the entire con, and like, you know, I'm at the con in the dream. It's like, oh, I didn't schedule anyone. It's just me. Or like the rental truck has like a breakdown on the way to the con. The truck that has all the equipment in it. You know, and you're stuck on the side of the. Oh wait, that happened.
Oh yeah.
You all are doing it wrong. Okay, you all come up with themes. The Roaring 20s, baseball, day out at the park, South Pacific. I run Basement Con. We have one theme every year, and it is we are the worst convention ever. I don't have stress dreams because if shit fucks up, it's on brand. We're good.
Those snakes in the shower really did add character the last Basement Con we had.
True.
That was great. What did we ever do to the snakes?
My favorite part about Basement Con was the blazing inferno, feet from the building. What a wonderful experience that was.
You're welcome.
But has Basement Con had a cult started at it yet? That I don't think is.
Yes.
I mean,
our
cult is in quotation marks.
That started within 5 minutes of walking in the cabin, Pandez. But please, tell me about your old cult. Just realize we're the New Testament of problematic furry cults.
Oh, no. If anyone's going to talk about a cult, Alkali would have to lead into it, and then I would tell my portion.
Which cult are we talking about? Is this the
one
incident?
The cult that was created by your guest of honor one year.
Oh God! We are talking about the opposite of Eve. Are you correct, Pandez? Or are you talking about a special green cult?
The green one.
Okay, the green.
Ooh,
Sorry,
green one.
we've literally had 3 cults that I was trying to figure out which one you were talking about. Shut up, Boozy. Shut up, Giza.
The original.
Shut up.
The original
Okay.
cult at your con.
honestly, this is another one of those miraculous stories. If we had the full hour on panel to describe the work that was put into this, we could give you the full story. But the cliff notes are, one year I got confused because I had to leave Whose Line Is It Anyway during questions only. And while it was being run, I came back in the room to hear somebody go, "Kale?" And the entire room lost their mind. And I didn't know why. So I was confused. And then shit started to happen. You want to take it from there, Des?
Well, I mean, that was the origin of it. That was the
origin.
You know, Kale just became a thing. I want to say, I think it was Leafy Greens actually that was the one that originated kale at that questions only or whatever it was. And all of a sudden, everyone just started talking about kale and doing kale related things. And kale just kind of went out of nowhere to the point where I want to say at closing ceremonies, everyone was chanting, "All hail Kale," and "Kale to the Chief." Now,
if I remember correctly,
amidst
that was
this,
the first time we had a riot at closing ceremonies with furries telling the board of directors that their theme was wrong and then telling us what it should be. We had to have a board meeting on stage at closing ceremonies to say, and I quote, "If we keep the theme we've already planned for and bought stuff for, are we going to cause an actual riot?"
but you know, there was one major thing. I mean, the thing you did right was, okay, we're keeping our theme, everyone, but to placate you, we will have the Kale Ball, which you went ahead and did the following year. But then the true mistake,
remember who won the Kale Ball?
The absolute glaring mistake that you made at closing ceremonies. You brought me up to stage to thank me for everything I'd done, and in front of the entire crowd, asked if I'd like to be the guest of honor the next year.
It was fun.
And
you didn't know.
That's where it started. All of a sudden, there was a Twitter account called @TheKalerati. There were tweets about Kale at the con and Kale this and Kale that, and it was just this weird little thing. And then I reached out to Quack Quack Hunk, and she made me several hundred buttons with the Illuminati symbol, but with a branch of kale in the middle of the triangle. And I came to con, and everything seemed normal. Well, not that normal. You remember opening ceremonies. But that's a different story.
It was amazing.
Throughout the convention, I went around to people, and I started handing out these buttons, and I'm like, if you wear this button, you are part of the Kalerati. You may not discuss the Kalerati, but if people are intrigued by your Kale button, you may bring them to me in secret, and I shall induct them also into the Kalerati. Slowly but surely, hundreds of people started having these buttons and wearing them all over the event, and nobody knew where they were coming from except those with the button. At one point, Saturday evening, the staff dinner, which, being guest, I was allowed to partake in, the staff came in with pizzas for everyone and said, "Oh, how's it going and everything? That's great." And I'm sitting at the table, and as the staff starts to walk out, Dragor taps Alkali on the shoulder and says, "Alkali, the hotel staff night manager, she's got one of those goddamn kale pins." And Alkali just goes, "Where are they coming from? Where are all these kale pins? Why is the hotel wearing these?" And I'm sitting there going, "Wow, that's really interesting." The next day, Sunday, closing ceremonies, Alkali calls me up to the stage to thank me for my participation at the event that year.
By the way, just to interject, anyone out there who runs any kind of convention, Pandez was one of the best guests of honor I have ever worked with. A guest of honor should make the convention better just with their presence. Pandez went above and beyond to an unbelievable opening ceremonies, a unreal appearance on every panel that he participated in, and what you are about to hear, which broke me.
So there I am, up at closing ceremonies. I'm like, well, thank you so much. I just want to say, how much fun it's been to be here at the event. And, you've had so much with your theme. You got so in depth into the theme. And, even though everyone was trying to put this kale theme everywhere, and it just seemed like there was all this kale this, kale that. And all of a sudden, I raised my hand up, holding 3 fingers, just in some random salute. And I said, all hail kale. And hundreds of people in closing ceremonies all stood up, making the same salute, going, all hail kale. All hail kale. Alkali is looking around going, what is going on? And he looks back over to me as I open up my vest that I am wearing to see 20 of these pins inside my my vest, pointing to them, look at him and go, gotcha, bitch!
It was hands down the best prank that has ever been played on me. You succeeded in making a prank that had no repercussions and no hurt feelings. My hat is off to you. It was genius.
You are welcome, good sir.
Well, we're going to be closing this off soon, but there's one more from Giza I would like to know. And Giza, this is a question that many in the furry fandom have wanted an answer to. The dreaded question that if you are in operations that a convention does this for, you never want to hear. Giza, why are there room deposits?
So, room deposits, it's not a hotel thing, it's a con thing. And it has to do with when you run a con at a hotel, you have to guarantee to the hotel that you're going to fill a certain number of room nights because the hotel wants to know that they can count on you to provide a certain number of room rentals during the event. And in return, they will give you a cheaper convention rate. But you are contractually held to that. And if you fall short, you are on the hook for the difference. So if you're, say, 100 room nights under what you guaranteed, well, 100 room nights times $150 a night, that's $15,000 you owe the hotel. And if this happens, that con usually doesn't see another year because that's a huge financial hit. And this is about Anthrocon 2008 or so. It's Wednesday before the con, the entire board on site. Most of the staff on site. The convention services liaison for the hotel calls us up in con ops and she says, hey, you guys haven't hit your room block. And we said, what the hell are you talking about? We hit it yesterday. We were full yesterday because we were looking at the reports from the hotel system. And it's like, you've rented out pretty much all of the Westin. And they said, yeah. And then we just got like 100 cancellations. And we said, what? And it seems that several dozen people made what appeared to be speculative reservations where they, when trying to get a room for the con, they're like, well, we'll reserve a room. So we have a room. And if we decide we don't need this room, if we find another room at the con, we'll just cancel our reservation 24 hours out, which is the drop off right before you get that cancellation penalty. And enough people did this, we felt like 100 rooms short, which 100 rooms times 4 nights is 400 room nights. And that was one of those like, on the spot, very quick heart attack moments. And we didn't have Twitter. We didn't have Facebook. Uncle Kage comes up to me and he's like, Giza, update the website now and just say rooms are open at the Westin. And enough people were checking the front page and the forums. They saw that we said, there are a few rooms available at the Westin. So people started making reservations at the Westin and we managed to catch back up by Thursday afternoon. That was just one of those near misses. And the hotel was like, we don't normally see this kind of behavior. So the following year, we're like, let's try that deposit idea. We've been talking about it for a little while, and that was ultimately why we did the deposit, and it's never been an issue again. And this is since what's that?
You know what year that was?
That was about 2008, and I think we were the first furry con to do it. I think MFF started doing it a couple years later, and I believe some of the other cons do it now. That one night deposit that is non-refundable when the reservation is made, and you don't see very many cancellations now because there's that financial component.
It helps.
I think that was my first year at AC. I was able to call at the very last second to get a room and went, okay, I'm going to AC, everyone.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
This is why Basement Con doesn't use hotels. We just rent the compound.
Oh, the compound.
I love the rooming arrangement. I love the rooming arrangement. It's get whatever beds you can get. We just have to run
except for Alkali.
That's not
we
the
gave
actual
Alkali a specific room.
Yep.
We gave Alkali a specific room because the bathrooms, the Basement Con takes place at an old ski lodge with a bunch of property. And we got there, and Alkali had said, there's all these rooms, and then we found out that we can have 10 tents and an RV for the same price. And then we found out that if we pay more, we can have as many tents as we want. So, congratulations if you ever come to Basement Con. We take place in October in Pennsylvania, and you're sleeping outside because I'm not. But we got there. It was obvious. It was obvious the bathrooms were an afterthought. Like they were in the toilet and a shower to call.
The internet was also an afterthought.
Oh yeah. Well, I just liked Alkali. We got there. He picked out a room. And then he looked in the bathroom and he came to me and he said, I'm going to need the other room by the normal-sized bathroom in the hallway because I can't fit in the bathroom they gave us.
I couldn't sit down on the toilet. My legs were too long. I'd have to hover.
Neither could I. I had to take a poop the first morning before I got in the shower. I had the door open, naked on the toilet, one leg in the shower, the other leg out the door of the bathroom. We're going back. I love this place.
Oh, we're definitely going back. I got a discount for year 2. Before we leave, I want to do one story. There is no punchline to the story. I'm just going to say it. For those of you who do not know the Sloth family, who do not know Velocity Sloth, this is all you need to know. Don, an unbelievable gentleman who is no longer with us, one time came before First Squared. When our crew put out feelers saying, we need help loading up the storage facility, who was out there? Velocity Sloth, Yave, the entire family, including Don, who did not end up going to the convention, showed up because they saw that somebody was in need. Ladies and gentlemen, both and neither, right now, the people we are donating to are in need. And I don't need to say anything more than that because we are furries and we help those who need it. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Convention Horror Stories. I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to Boozy Badger, to Giza, and to Lord Pandez. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Alkali. I think we're going to switch over there. Say goodnight, everyone. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
See you, everyone. Thanks for coming by.